Hello everybody, this is Ian Walker. Welcome to the ID Walker Art Academy tutorial. We're going to be doing a drawing of Steve the Minion from Despicable Me and Minions. So follow along with me as we get started here. We're using Sketchbook Pro, which is the best program in the world to use for sketching. We're going to choose our pencil tool here, and we're going to bring up some colors. We're going to first start with a blue tint, which is kind of representative of the blue pencil here. And we're going to begin, after we pick our color here, we're going to begin with a basic shape. So right now I am on here trying to set up my workspace here in Sketchbook Pro, and I just created the layers here. So now I'm going to begin drawing here, and what we're going to start drawing when it comes to Minions, again, basic shapes are important here. I don't know if you saw my Baymax tutorial last, but in that Baymax tutorial we had oval shapes that we were doing a lot of. When it comes to the Minions, as you see, they're kind of oblong or rectangular in shape. So we're going to be starting with a rectangular shape here with Steve the Minion. And again, we're going to be doing this in blue pencil. Now again, when you're doing the outlining, it does not have to be perfect, okay? Don't worry too much about the perfection of these shapes. This is just guidelines, and they're not supposed to be exactly perfect. They are what they are, a guide. So as you see here in the middle, I drew a big circle, which is Steve's prominent eye. We drew the band. Now I've moved on to his mouth here, and then starting to draw in where his clothing is going to be placed. Right here I'm trying to figure out where I want to position the arms and make sure I do that correctly. We're drawing now a oblong style oval or circle here, which is Steve waving here, and then again placing some more guidelines for the fingers. He's going to be waving at everybody. So we're placing the fingers here, and then going to be moving toward the next arm. Minion's arms are very skinny in nature. So with that being said, I draw the arms in their proper position and set that up there. Now we're moving on to the legs and the feet of Steve here. Again, just setting up everything here. And again, as another reminder, do not worry about perfection. That is going to come over time, but especially when putting on the guidelines, perfection is not that critical. Okay? Again, this is just a placeholder to where you're going to be putting everything as you continue on with the drawing. Okay, now I'm drawing in Steve's gloves and his fingers where they are going to be. And as you can see, due to the shapes here, everything is starting to kind of shape up pretty nicely. The shape and the form of Steve is showing up nicely here. Decided to go ahead and make that smile just a little bit wider. Now I'm rounding out the top, because we know Minions are roundish up the top and the bottom. So I'm inputting that shape there just to signify to myself a reminder that these need to be round. That he's a minion. Now I'm drawing in the actual eye of Steve, where he's going to be looking, which is going to be directly at you. Now, just as a quick another reminder here, I know some of you may not have blue pencil. That's perfectly fine. What you can do as an alternative is use the pencil that you have and draw sort of a light outline, and use that as a guideline. Use that as a light outline, and then continue on using your regular ink pen or marker or whatever the case may be. Now, moving on to the pen tool in Sketchbook Pro. This is a new feature they actually added. Before, you had to create your own pen out of the pencil tool, but in this newer version they actually included the pen tool, and it is incredible. It's so nice. And earlier you saw me put on some strokes, test some strokes out. So now I'm lowering the opacity on that first layer of blues so that they don't predominantly stand out. Now I'm going to go ahead and start inking Steve here. Okay. Again, showing off first that round shape of Steve up at the top here, and then coming down along the side. Now again, I'm not going through the arms because remember, with those blue lines, we've positioned where those arms are going to be. And as you can see, I'm not tracing over the arm exactly. Again, these are guides. So at this point, I've decided to go ahead and ink in the gloves and the hand on Steve's left side and connect that. And then rounding out the bottom here as well. Inking the hand now. And now what's important when you're doing round shapes, or you're using, you're rounding out your your figures, whatever they are, whatever kind of circles, it's important to use your wrist. A wrist motion, kind of flick the wrist a little bit to kind of get that perfect curve slightly, so that when you come around to those curves, they will be nicely done. They'll be nicely made. And as you see here, I made a few mistakes here with the inking, so I went back with the eraser and erased those lines and those imperfections there, because now is the point when you're doing the inking that you do kind of want to make sure that it looks good. Mistakes here are something that you want to avoid. Okay. And if you mess up here while you're learning how to draw Steve, that's okay. That's why you have these tutorials and these videos here. You can go back and practice again and again until you feel you reached a sort of perfection where you feel comfortable with your skill of drawing Steve here. Okay. So moving on to Steve's big smile. Okay, a little circle at the bottom, kind of show the bottom lip there. As you'll see, I kind of make a decision and decide to go with something else later. But I'm creating the eye now, drawing in the pupil. And you can see those little, I drew what looks like two circles in a square, but what's a nice effect on a drawing, especially when drawing eyes, is drawing those shine marks there, which can be signified by a square and a circle, and then in between those, drawing the pupil. It gives a lot of life to the eyes and also to the drawing as a whole. It makes it a little bit more lifelike and less three-dimensional in a way. It's weird how eyes can make a drawing come to life, and you're definitely able to do that when you add those effects there. Now finishing up here with the bands on the side of Steve's eye mask here. I'm drawing in some hairs on Steve's head. He's got a few sparse hairs. He doesn't have that full volume and body. But just a few hairs here and there. adding some of those details, and now going ahead and drawing in the suspenders that Steve wears, his little uniform as a Minion. And again, as you're doing the inking, take your time. There's no need to rush. You know, do the best you can. And because if you don't rush, things will turn out better. There'll be less erasing, less mistakes. So if you can help it, try not to rush too much, okay? So we're drawing in the pockets on the suspenders. I'm gonna go in and draw that little G symbol, which if you've seen Despicable Me, you know that's the sign for Gru. That's Gru's symbol there. I messed up a little bit there, so I'm going back and doing that again. I took a little bit more time with this particular symbol because I wanted to make sure I got it right. Symbols and letters can sometimes be hard. Now, kids, if you're drawing this, again, your G doesn't have to be perfect. This is one thing you don't have to worry about. I don't want to put into you the habit of perfectionism too early. I just want you to have fun. So if you find that this is getting a little frustrating for you, just skip it. Okay? It's okay. People are going to be able to look at your drawing and see that it's a Minion. It's perfectly okay. Alright? I don't want you getting one part and then getting all frustrated because you can't get a certain area correct. It's taking me a lot of time and practice in doing these types of drawings to where I can get the letters right. But if you can't right away, that's okay. Don't worry about it. You can even just write the letter G on there on the pocket. That's fine. Okay? And just move on to the next part of the drawing. So now drawing in the straps of his suspenders here. Very simple character design, very simple to do. Very fun character to draw. I really enjoy drawing Steve. Yeah. It's funny because I didn't think they were going to be so easy. Usually in art, sometimes the most simplest things can be the most complex. But once I found out that how easy Steve was to draw, I said, you know what? I think kids would really enjoy drawing this. So if you're taking this course and you're taking it online, what I'd like you to do is leave a comment. Tell me how you like to draw it, how you like the drawing. Show off your drawings in the Facebook group and all of that. Show us what you got. So again, I'm going back through with the eraser now, taking out some of those trailing lines that are there, making sure everything looks a little perfect. As you can see, there's some lines that are outside of the figure, so I'm cleaning those up, making those edges smooth, making sure everything looks good. And the Minions, you can't see their bottom lips that much when they face forward, so that's why I went back and erased that bottom part. Now here I'm drawing in shadows because Steve is waving at us, so it's just a series of lines across from one side against the body. Okay, and then after that I come back along the side and draw a line around those lines, and it creates a faux shadow there. See? And again, that adds what's called 3-dimension, which means it's coming out at you a little bit. He has a little bit more form, more shape, and he's not just flat looking. on the page. So when you're doing your drawings, you always kind of want to make sure that you make your characters make them lifelike by making them look like they're coming out at you a little bit. And that's the purpose of doing the shadowing here, like I did. Now Steve's gloves are black, and you're gonna see me drawing in certain black elements. So right now I'm drawing in Steve's gloves here. This is a point where you take your time as well. As you can see, I left a little bit of white space on the top of his hand, and that's light reflection hitting off of the gloves because he's wearing rubber gloves, right? I heightened the opacity, made it a solid black because I started to notice that, you know, when I went back over it, that there was other black marks there. So I noticed that the opacity was down. So once I darken the opacity, I'm going back over it again, making that a really dark, solid black. Now I'm working on the other glove here and blackening that in as well. Look how he's starting to come out. Steve the Minion. Now working on the shoes, and again you leave that little bit of white space at the top because he's got shiny shoes. Blackening in the other shoe now, and now going up to the headband and blacking that in. Look at him, he's starting to come alive. Looks really good. Adding a little bit of shine and shadow to the eye band here. Again, the point is to give it a little bit of light. You can do this if you want to, guys. You don't necessarily have to, but it does help it quite a bit. Putting in a shadow inside of the eye socket, so that, or inside of the eye band. Again, this makes it a little bit more three-dimensional. And the lines that I'm putting in are the reflection of the glass, because they are like glasses, kind of that Steve wears. Goggle, there you go, that's the one I'm looking for. Wearing a single eye goggle. Okay. Now I'm drawing the shadow where Steve is standing. Again, drawing the shadow Where he's standing makes the character pop out, makes it look like he's standing in a certain space instead of just standing, sitting flat on paper. Now Steve has little divots on his goggles, so I drew those in as well. So I'm going around the goggles, drawing those divots in. And come to the end, so we're writing down who he is, Steve the Minion. Again, remember, always write down the name of your character, who you're drawing, and sign it. Okay? I want to thank you guys so much for taking part in this course. I hope you really enjoyed it. Hope it was easy. If you need to, take it again and again until you feel you got it right, okay? Love to see your work on Facebook. Again, thank you very much for coming in and taking this tutorial. I will talk with you guys soon. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.